Señoras y señores, buenas tardes y bienvenidos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Good afternoon. It is now my pleasure. Oh, wow, before I get started, did you all enjoy the opening ceremony last night? Did you all have a good time? You all have your flags? Okay. One thing that we did not do to honor our servicemen and women around the world is to endorse ourselves in what a wonderful country we have and to give our gratitude to their service and their sacrifice as they try to keep our freedoms around the world. So can you indulge me and please stand and let's salute our flag. Flag's over here. Please repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Okay, here we go. Now, it is my honor to introduce Massachusetts Secretary of Education, Paul Reville. Secretary Reville directs the Executive Office of Education and works closely with the Commonwealth's education agencies. He is the governor's top advisor on education and helps shape the Commonwealth's education reform agenda, including the recent Achievement Gap Act of 2010, the most sweeping education legislation since the landmark Education Reform Act of 1993. Old. Please, let's give him a warm ACCT welcome to Secretary Reville.
Thank you very much, Roberto. Welcome to all of you. Welcome to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We're so pleased to see you here on behalf of Governor Patrick. We can't think of a more fitting tribute to our own system of community colleges in Massachusetts than that you, as a national association, would choose Boston as the place to hold your national convention. So we're very proud to have you here. We wish you the best with your deliberations going forward. We hope you go out into the city of Boston and spend a lot of money to prime our economy, but we're really pleased that you're here with us. We in the Commonwealth think of ourselves as the education state. We're the birthplace of higher education. We're the birthplace of public elementary and secondary education. We've done very well educationally, but we have a long, long way to go, as we all do nationally in this work. Governor Patrick has singled out our community colleges as one of the great strengths and assets in the Commonwealth, and we are determined to work with our community colleges in strengthening their historic academic mission as a first step into the system of higher education, into the system of public higher education, and to strengthen preparation of our students going into community colleges and preparation for them to successfully complete and earn those certificates and those degrees that will enable them to go further in their education and employment. Second thing that we're emphasizing in our work in community colleges and in public higher education generally is the connection between the work that happens on our community college campuses and in our state universities, in our University of Massachusetts, and what employers are doing by way of the offerings of 21st century jobs in a high-skill, high-knowledge economy like Massachusetts. And we've just done a lot in the recent budget cycle to strengthen that connection, to offer resources and incentives and new ways of enabling our community colleges to do the work that they have done so well in their local communities and local regions, and expanding this work statewide so that we can address our top priority areas of employment growth that we see here in the Commonwealth. So we're in the midst of putting community colleges at the center of the prosperity of the Commonwealth in the future. We believe in education, innovation, and infrastructure as we move forward, and we're delighted to have such strong partners. I know a number of our presidents and chairs are here among us, and I salute them for their work. Jean-Marie Boylan, in particular, I know has been instrumental as a leader in your national organization and in bringing you here today, and we're very proud of her leadership and her institution. So I wish you the best in your deliberations. I know you're working on the same challenges that we're addressing here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. These are national priorities. We can hear the President, Secretary Duncan, articulating the focus on this work all the time. This is make or break work, not only for the future of the Commonwealth, but for the future of this nation. I wish you all the best as you go forward in your deliberations. Thank you again for coming to Boston, and welcome.
Thank you, Secretary Ravel. And now it is my honor to introduce Richard Freeland, Commissioner of the Massachusetts Department of Higher Education, to bring greetings on behalf of all Massachusetts colleges and universities. Commissioner Freeland was appointed by Governor Patrick to provide overall direction to public higher education in Massachusetts and help shape state-level policies. Please join me in giving Mr. Freeland a warm ACCT welcome.
Thank you very much, Chair Uranga. It is my honor to welcome you on behalf of the Massachusetts Board and Department of Higher Education and to express to you my personal and our collective appreciation of the important work you do leading community colleges all over this country. I am acutely aware of your contributions to higher education and to community colleges through the work of our trustees here in Massachusetts, who do such terrific work as volunteers, providing leadership and guidance and support to our community colleges. I join Secretary Revel in a shout out to John Marie Boylan, who's done such a great job as chair of Bunker Hill Community College, but also as a representative of the community colleges to the Board of Higher Education and, of course, in your national organization as well. She is a pillar of strength of our system. We in Massachusetts take special pride in our institutions of higher education, but I'm acutely aware as the Commissioner of Public Higher Education that much of this reputation derives from the work and reputation of our great private institutions, large and small, all across the state. But we are also aware here in Massachusetts that excellence in higher education comes in many different forms, and that excellence in community colleges is every bit as important to the well-being of the state as excellence in research university. And whether it is at Bunker Hill or Roxbury or Quinsigamond or Springfield Tech serving our major urban centers, or Mass Bay or Middlesex or Northern Essex or North Shore serving the greater metropolitan Boston region, or Bristol or Mount Wachusett or Massasoit or Holyoke serving some of our older industrial cities, or Holyoke or Greenfield or Berkshire or Cape Cod serving the rural and outlying regions of the state. There is excellence going on all across this state, excellent, dedicated professionals doing what community colleges do most importantly and do best, providing access to opportunity for students of all backgrounds and supporting the communities in which they are located. But even as we celebrate this excellence, we are acutely aware that our governor and our president has called upon all of us in the community college movement to rise to an even higher level of achievement. And that is why community colleges in Massachusetts have joined with their colleagues in the state universities and in the University of Massachusetts to raise the level of our game in terms of critical challenges that I believe we face at community colleges all over the country. Challenges in linking with our colleagues in the K-12 system to smooth the transition from secondary education to higher education. Challenges in developmental education to help students who come to us not fully prepared for college-level work to succeed in our classrooms. Challenges in completion, graduating successfully more of the students who enter our institutions, keeping the level of student learning high, raising the level of student learning higher, even as we advance the completion agenda, linking our programs more effectively with the workforce, preparing citizens to be engaged, informed participants in the life of our society, and closing achievement gaps among students from lower income groups and communities of color. All these challenges we are all facing, we are committed here in Massachusetts to addressing them and to achieving even higher levels of excellence with respect to them. So it is with pride in the work that we are doing and have done to welcome you here to Massachusetts. It is with a keen appreciation of the even greater challenges that we face in the future as our role is enhanced in strengthening both our economy and our democracy. And it is with a dedication to achieving that higher level of aspiration in colleagueship with representatives of community colleges all across our state and around the country that I am so pleased to welcome you here to Massachusetts. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the work you do, and welcome to our great state.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please join me again in thanking these two gentlemen for giving us such a warm welcome to Boston. And now, the awards. It gives me great pleasure to recognize the regional award recipients for the 2012 Regional Chief Executive Officer Awards. Information on all the awardees for this afternoon are included in your awards program. These 5 recipients are the sole nominees for the 2012 Marie Y. Martin CEO Award that will be announced for the first time at tomorrow evening's annual gala. I am pleased to present the 2012 Central Region Chief Executive Officer Award to Betsy Barhorst from Madison Area Technical College in Wisconsin.
I want to give thanks today, mostly to the trustees from Madison College, led by Chair Frances Huntley Cooper. They are the best. There are 6 of them here, but they told me I only had so many seconds to speak. So they're here, and they are wonderful, and they have supported me through 8 years. But I also want to thank the trustees who are here from Illinois Central College, and all of the colleagues that I knew in Illinois. They taught me how to be a president, and I thank them for that. And finally, I want to thank the trustees here from Hawkeye Community College in Iowa, and all of the Iowa trustees who are here because they gave me my first chance. I left part of my heart in Iowa. It is a wonderful, wonderful state. I'm so humbled to receive this award because I know many, if not most, of the colleagues that I have as presidents in the Central Region, and they are outstanding. But I realized I'm receiving this award because I'm so smart. And I'm so smart because I chose the best team of vice presidents possible. You see, they do the work, and then I get the awards. It's wonderful. And I also chose my husband, Alan Barhorst, and he's pretty wonderful too, although please don't tell him because he thinks he chose me. So thanks to everyone here, from Noah all the way, and G, and all the way to the people who are coming here for the first time. In the community college world, we do great work. What we do is vital and critical and important, and it's noble. And if you ever doubt it, then do what I do and go in the halls and talk to the students. And when you hear their stories, you will know how very important we are. So thank you to all of you. What an honor this is.
Congratulations, Betsy, and I had the same debate with my wife. The Northeast Region CEO Award goes to Karen Stout from Montgomery County Community College in Pennsylvania.
Leap and the net will appear. That's a quote that's attributed very often to naturalist John Burroughs. And that's the promise we make and keep every day in the nearly 1,200 community colleges across this country. And we make that promise and we keep that promise for our students. We encourage them to leap, and we work as a collective community to form the net that supports and advances their success. I feel so honored and am so grateful to serve my students and my community as part of that net. So this recognition today is really for everyone at Montgomery County Community College, and is a reflection of our unwavering support for our students. I thank my faculty, staff, and administrators and applaud them for their work, which too often is under-recognized. Leap and the net will appear. To stand here today, I've leaped many times, and each time the net has appeared. I think all the presidents in this room know what I mean, because I know all of you also have your own personal net. And mine includes many of the wonderful colleagues in this room that I've met over the years. But most importantly, mine includes 15 members of my Board of Trustees, and most importantly, my board chair, who's with me today, Chairman Mike Daniello. My board, with Mike's leadership, is not afraid to take on challenging issues and challenging conversations, especially around student success and organizational redesign. And in taking on those issues, they've formed a net that has allowed me and the college to fail safely while trying to move our college forward. So I want to offer my deep thanks to my board for inspiring me to serve and to leap, encouraging me to leap, and for being there as my net. And in recognition of the efforts of our entire Montgomery County Community College community, I want to thank ACCT for this recognition. It means a lot to me personally. Thank you.
Congratulations, Karen. Our next CEO honoree is from the Pacific region, Bryce Harris, who was nominated for his service to Los Rios Community College District in California. Dr. Harris, however, was recently selected to serve as the 15th Chancellor of the California Community Colleges. He will assume his new position on November 6th this year. Let's welcome Dr. Bruce Harris. Bryce Harris. Congratulations to you, by
the way. Thank you. My mother-in-law always called me Bruce, so that felt comfortable. I want to thank the selection committee and ACCT for this very humbling and tremendous honor. It's very flattering to stand before you. Those of us who serve in these jobs really only need three things to be successful. We need an engaged and supportive board of trustees. I'm very pleased to have three of the great Los Rios trustees with me today: Board President Ruth Scribner, Board Vice President Pam Haynes, and Trustee Robert Jones. We also need a tremendous faculty and staff, and I've had one of the best over the past 16 years at Los Rios. Wonderful people who get up each and every day and spend all day trying to help students and support their educational goals. And then finally, a supportive family, and I have been backed up by my wife of 41 years, Barbara, who's with me today. She stood by my side and provided me with the kind of pragmatic, candid advice that more than once has kept me out of trouble. Barbara, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I I know all of us are daunted by the challenges before us today. We basically have the responsibility to get this country back on track in terms of providing a workforce and an educated citizenry. We're doing a remarkable job in some very difficult times, but we have an even bigger job ahead of us. We must get both bigger and better at the same time, and in many cases with limited resources. Thanks to organizations like ACCT and AACC and all of our state boards and community college boards across this country, I think our best days lie ahead, and we will rise to that challenge. Thank you again for this tremendous award.
Thank you, Bryce. And being from California, I'm looking forward to your leadership. As I was walking around earlier today, people were telling me that I look so much taller on the screen. But now you know. But I walk tall. So, our 2012 Southern Region CEO Award goes to David Cole from Itawamba Community College in Mississippi. Please join me at the podium, David. Come on up.
Good evening. I am honored to be representing the Southern region, and as I've told the people back home, it obviously was a lean crop year for me to be standing here. We all are engaged in the same stock and trade. Bryce, whose mother called him Bruce, my mother called me Peachy Pie Pie. Y'all don't take that back home. I don't want them to know that. Our stock in trade are students who come to us with varying degrees of readiness, faculty who come to us with varying degrees of commitment, and trustees who, when we're really lucky, get it. And they understand what the enterprise is all about, and they challenge, they support, and hold us accountable to do the good work. I'm here standing on the shoulders of a great board. Several who are here, led by our chairman, Dan Lee Bishop, and I want to break from protocol. Would you wonderful people stand and just wave a little bit? There you go, Dan Lee and the board, yeah. When it all comes together, students who get engaged, faculty who are committed, board members who are so supportive, as we're so lucky to have in this room. A cabinet led by a president who understands, he stands on all of their shoulders. When that happens, we call it the golden era. And every community college knows when it happens. And when that happens, we are helping literally hundreds of thousands of people anchor their economic security by accessing the American dream. What a wonderful job to have. What a wonderful day this is. Thank you all.
Congratulations, David. Our last Chief Executive Officer Award goes to the Western Region's Bruce Leslie from Alamo Colleges in Texas. Bruce, please come forward.
Well, of course, I need to thank my board, the members of the Alamo College's trustees. They are so critical to this moment for me. My board chair, Jim Reinfuss, Gary Beitzel, Roberto Sarate, Jean Sprague, Ana Bustamante, and Yvonne Katz, who are here. So I'll ask you guys to wave as well. I've been a CEO for almost 30 years now. The Alamo Colleges is my fourth CEO responsibility. And in fact, this is the second time I've received this award for the Eastern region, and now 20 years later, from the Western region. Thus, I have been doubly blessed, but in particular, I have been blessed by a wife who has been supportive and nurturing and who has the same passion for education as I have. The differences among those four colleges, I think, is instructive, and I'd like to share with you what I think has made the difference and caused the Alamo Colleges and Onondaga Community College in New York to be recognized for this. The first is that a board of trustees, when it's individually and collectively committed to the mission and the purpose of the college. Secondly, when the board of trustees individually and collectively is focused on the vision and on the strategies necessary to achieve that vision. And third, when the Board of Trustees individually and collectively has created a synergy among itself and a partnership with the CEO and his or her team, absolutely marvelous things happen. They create a space, an environment, where the CEO, the employees, and the students accomplish great things. And isn't that our moral imperative? Not just to be the stewards of the taxpayers' money, but for the future of our communities. So that's what I've had from my board, a highly moral group of individuals who have been committed, focused, and who have created that synergy and maintained that and their relationship with their CEO and his team. So when you return home, trustees, make sure that all of you, not just a few of you, are committed to the purpose and the mission, are focused on the vision, create that synergy among yourselves, and that you create that partnership with your CEO, and then watch the magic happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bruce, and congratulations to you. And as you make your way west, when you get to the Pacific region, I guess you'll have met your manifest destiny from east to west to the Pacific. Now it is my honor to present the 2012 Regional Faculty Member Awards. The regional awardees are the sole nominees for the William H. Merity Faculty Member Award that will be presented tomorrow evening during the awards gala. The first award goes to Central Region's Holly Kirby from Madison Area Technical College in Wisconsin. Please join me at the podium.
At Madison College, our motto is transforming lives one at a time. And it's a true statement. And if you want proof, look no further than me. I'm the faculty member who teaches chemistry and technical science and playwriting. A person who doesn't have the discipline to stay in a discipline. What I do would be improbable, if not impossible, at many, if not most, institutions, but I don't teach at any institution. I teach at a technical college. I teach at a community college. I teach at Madison College. And I am deeply grateful to Betsy Barhorst, my president, my provost, Terry Webb, Dean Todd Stebbins, the board members, staff and administration, and the world-class faculty whom I teach with for the support and the collaboration and all the opportunities they've given me to take things from very different places and put them together to make a new way of teaching. I'm deeply honored at this honor from the ACCT and from all of you. And I'd also like to acknowledge the source of my good fortune, ultimately, which is the community college, a place where impossible things are made possible on a daily basis. Thank you.
Congratulations, Holly. You made me tall again. And now I am honored to present the Northeast Region Faculty Member Award to Kathleen Kennedy Norris from Baltimore City Community College in Maryland. Please join me at the podium, Kathleen.
Good afternoon. I would like to thank the ACCT for honoring me with this wonderful award, and I accept it on behalf of educators everywhere, and especially along with our Baltimore City Community College faculty. I am both honored and humbled. I would especially like to thank our Baltimore City Community College president, Dr. Caroline Williams, and our board of trustees for recognizing me with this nomination, but moreover for their unwavering support of our new educational site from concept to fruition. Without their vision and support, we would never have been able to successfully break new ground in workforce pathways for life sciences careers. Our Life Sciences Institute is embedded in the University of Maryland Biopark. Our University of Maryland partners welcome our community college students as freshmen and sophomores at their college. They give them University of Maryland student IDs immediately so that they have full access to student services, library services, and student activities and their recreation center at no charge to our students. Our University of Maryland partners, especially the biopark companies, where 100% of them have mentored our students in their 250-hour internships, and 91% of them have hired students from that internship program. I also need to personally thank my family, my older two children, Crystal and Greg, who were financially and emotionally affected by their single mom starting a college education and continuing on to graduate school, uprooting them from everyone they knew. We took this educational journey together, with all three of us completing our postgraduate educations. And to my husband and our two college-age sons for putting up with the long hours and the constant schedule changes of an educator. And to my parents who instilled the importance of a college education that neither of them was able to obtain. And finally, to my second family, my students. Educators do not follow this pathway for accolades like this. Rather, we are fueled by the understanding that we pass on this knowledge to the next generation. My students complete their associate degrees in biotechnology with an endpoint of becoming gainfully employed as research scientists, but also as a gateway to pursuing higher education as bachelors of science, masters of science, doctorates in education and philosophy, PharmDs, and medical degrees. My wonderful students have been successful and beaten the odds in all these levels of education by their hard work and determination. It makes me so proud to have shared in their lives and in their educational successes. I absolutely love what I do, and I am rewarded every day. Thank you.
Congratulations, Kathleen. Our 2012 Pacific Region Faculty Member Award goes to Terry Ann Mills from Portland Community College in Portland, Oregon. Terry, please come forward.
Thank you for this wonderful recognition. I only wish that my dad, who retired from a 30-year career at the College of San Mateo, could be with us today. It is truly an honor to be recognized for faculty excellence among so many distinguished educators, many who are winners today on stage with me. The community college has been an integral part of my life for over 50 years. I was fortunate to attend and graduate from the College of San Mateo, and the education that I received was second to none. Affordable, accessible, and the highest in quality. I love nursing, and I love teaching nursing. As my favorite NFL coach, football coach, likes to say to his team, who's got it better than us? Nobody. I would like to thank PCC Board Chairwoman Denise Frisbee, the PCC Board of Directors who are here today, PCC President Pulliams, Sylvania Campus President Linda Gerber, and the entire Portland Community College for nominating me for this prestigious award. And I'd also like to especially thank my nursing faculty. We work as a team, and the nursing students who inspire and motivate me every single day. And I'd like to thank my sister, Dr. Leslie Alexander, for being here today, and my wonderful family for their continued support of all my endeavors. Thank you.
Don't forget your award. Okay, our awardee from the Southern region is Elizabeth Traxler from Greenville Technical College in South Carolina. Elizabeth, please come and join me in the podium.
Good afternoon. I'm very honored to receive this award, and I am humbled as well because I know how many faculty are deserving of it. So I'd like to accept it on behalf of those hundreds of instructors in the Southern region who work every day tirelessly for the benefit of their students. I'd also like to thank ACCT for all it does to help our colleges achieve our mission. But most of all, I'd like to thank my college, Greenville Technical College, our area commission, several of the members here today, my college president, Dr. Keith Miller, who's also here. I want to thank them for recognizing that learning extends beyond the four walls of the classroom. I would like to thank them for seeing the value in global education for community college students, and for supporting me and my colleagues in our efforts to provide opportunities to our students so they may participate in things like Model United Nations and study abroad. So again, thank you very much, and I'll do everything I can to be worthy of this honor. Thank you.
Congratulations, Elizabeth. Our final faculty member awardee is from the Western region, Paul Benson. Hey, we got a male. From Dallas County Community College District in Texas. Paul, please come to the stage.
ladies and gentlemen, this honor today goes entirely to the Dallas County Community College District. Without that district, I wouldn't be here. We all wouldn't be here because of the community college work that is done all over this country. I started teaching in 1965 under a shade tree in Alabama. I was part of that contingent that went south to teach in freedom schools. And from that day forward, I knew I wanted to be where the real action was taking place. That, of course, was in the community college. I have been teaching now 43 years. I'm teaching the grandchildren of the children that I taught all those years ago, third generation. I've been able to teach philosophy, humanities, literature, film, and many other courses over a period of time that I would never have been able to teach in a university setting. It's been a great honor. I want to particularly thank the Dallas County Community College trustees who have supported the work that I do and all the others all these years. I want to thank Mountain View College, the administration, my fellow teachers, and my family, of course, my two children, and my wonderful wife, Pam, who would so love to be here today for this honor. Thank you so much, and I'll keep it short so you can get to eat. Thank you.
We are the beast among the beauties. Please join me in recognizing again all of our Regional Faculty Member Award recipients. Thank you all for your dedication to teaching and to learning. And now, I have the pleasure of making one last announcement before lunch. The 2012 ACCT Trust Fund Grant Award was awarded to Lakeland Community College Foundation in Ohio. Please stand and be recognized, members of the Lakeland Board of Trustees. There we go. Congratulations to Lakeland, and we encourage anyone to apply for the 5th Annual ACCT Trust Fund Award. And remember to file your application by December 7th, 2012. Please see the ACCT website or contact the ACCT office for an application. Now, also, you remember your pedometers. Okay, you're going to have a big lunch today, so we want to make sure you walk it off for the student success. So thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, señoras y señoras, lunch is served.
pass this to you? There's already 5 chairs up. Stop. You know, I told him 3 times what the deal was.
Yeah, there are. Good afternoon. It is my honor to introduce this afternoon's distinguished speakers, key partners from K-12 schools, public policy, private businesses, and philanthropy. We are here to talk to us about their work in the student success and completion movement. All of you have received copies of ACCT's own policy action agenda on your tables today. We encourage you to sign up and engage in this important initiative and to engage with the strategic partners like those who are here with us today. One of our panelists is Dr. Douglas Wood, who is a program officer for the Ford Foundation. He works on higher education issues with emphasis on the needs of students from poor and marginalized communities, transitioning from high school to college, and improving the college completion rates of underserved students. Dr. Wood previously served as Chief Executive Officer of the Tennessee State Board of Education. Joining also the panel is Bill Green, who is the Executive Chairman of Accenture and has served as Chair of Accenture Board of Directors since its inception in 2001. Mr. Green is an outspoken advocate for the role of education as a key enabler of competitiveness, urging businesses and government leaders to work together to make education more accessible and affordable and accountable. Also joining us is Paul Lingenfelter, who is the president of the Colorado State Higher Education Executive Office. His work has focused on increasing successful partnership in higher education and the public policies required for educational excellence. Gene Wilhoit is the executive director of the Council of Chief State School Officers in D.C. Mr. Wilhoit began his career as a social studies teacher in Ohio and Indiana. More extensive biographies of each of today's panelists are available in your program, but for the sake of time, let's begin the discussion. Please join me in welcoming our esteemed panel. Thank you, gentlemen.
Let me say it's an honor to be here today, but before I start, I want to give a special thanks to Elizabeth from Greenville Tech because my mother is a proud graduate of Greenville Technical College. So where is she? I also want to bring greetings from the Ford Foundation, the second largest foundation in the world. Our mission is to work with visionaries on the front lines of social change worldwide. And so therefore, it's very appropriate that I'm here with you today, and it certainly is an honor. I'd like to also say that our higher education work not only is in the United States, but it also includes work in the Andean region of South America and the Southern Cone, in South Africa, in Egypt, and in China. But I also want to say that we have recently refocused our higher education work in the United States to focus specifically on community colleges, and also to, thank you, to continue to support first-generation low-income college students to get a post-secondary credential with labor market value. I also want to reiterate the theme of this Congress, leveraging student success through partnerships, innovation, and evidence. And so it's a great opportunity to have a dialogue with three national leaders representing higher education, state school leadership in K-12 education, and the corporate sector. And it's also important for us to realize that we all have a common goal, and that's to better prepare the United States as a contender in an increasingly competitive world through working in partnership. And so with that, I'd like to pose my first question to the panel, and if Bill, Paul, and Jean could respond. My first question is, what does our country need to do to ensure educated and productive citizens?
Well, since I'm next in line, I guess I'll go first. First of all, before I start, representing business and industry here, I just want to thank you. Because the thing that keeps business leaders up at night is, where's the talent going to come from? And in an increasingly competitive world, the companies and the countries with the best people win. And what we're solving for here is a lot more than an educated workforce. It's a competitive workforce, and it's rising standards of living across our country. And so thanks to all of you in this room for what you do every day to make that happen. I think we have a lot of work ahead of us. The outside world continues to raise the bar. We have to raise our game. I think one of the things about the community college environment is it's the shortest time between capability and a job. And there's a lot of things that we need to fix. We talk a lot about challenges in K through 12. We talk a lot about all these things that we need to do. But at the end of the day, it's here and now, right? And I think what we need to do is really have a demand-driven, system that creates capability. And we need to make sure we're training people for the jobs of today and tomorrow, not the jobs of yesterday. And we need to make sure we unlock the trapped talent that we have in this country. I mean, it is just incredibly clear that we have tremendous people, not only the education they got, but the experiences they've had that shape their lives. And one of the things we need to do is get at that and unleash this talent that is trapped in our system. And I think one last thing, and this is important for me, and I think the community colleges are uniquely positioned to do it. Education is one thing, but energy and inspiration is what really unleashes power. And so I'm incredibly grateful for all we do to teach people and educate people. But I think if we are going to raise our game, we have to figure out how to do a better job of energizing and inspiring. And I think business has a big and important obligation there, and I think the whole education ecosystem needs to get behind that.
Great. Paul? Thank you, Doug. When I started work for the State Higher Education Executive Officers Association 12 years ago, I thought the challenge facing the country was to wake up to the fact that the world has changed and that it's requiring not only that we educate more people, but we educate all of them to a higher standard. I think 12 years since that day, just being with you and listening to some of these early sessions and listening to the presidents and faculty that you've honored today, I think you get it. I think we have figured out what it's going to take. And so the national awareness has been raised. What I think we need to do now is deal with the two large challenges facing us as we try to educate the underrepresented, typically low-income, first-generation college student people in our population. The first challenge is money, so they can afford to focus on an academic program in higher education. We have systems to do that. They're not working as well as they need to be, but that's a big challenge that needs more attention. The bigger challenge, though, is improving the teaching and learning process. How do we engage students? How do we improve our instructional program so that every student really realizes his or her potential as a contributing member of our society? That's a lot of work for us. I think we're making progress on it. We'll have a little more time to talk about it in the next few minutes.
I think our country needs to do three things, and they're all under the umbrella of getting serious about what we say and living up to the reality of the words that are in front of us. I'm not sure this country is truly committed to the words that we're espousing in terms of education. And in order to do that, I think it's going to be painful in many ways in the next few years. But one movement that has to occur is that we have to get a lot more serious about what we expect of our students in the K-12 system. And we can talk more about this later, but we're lying to these kids in terms of their education. We need to get very serious about leveling with these students about what it's going to take to be successful, and that new benchmark is readiness for them to enter into your institutions and to be successful. The 60% remediation is intolerable in this country, and we are not living up to our promise to those youngsters in K-12 to get them ready. Secondly, I think this country's got to get a lot more serious about engaging adults in continuing education. We have major problems in terms of employment in the country right now. Many people think it's a short-term problem that occurred out of greed and short-term circumstance. It's really a byproduct of the shift in demand for jobs in this country. We don't need routine manual labor anymore. We need individuals who are able to move into those non-routine, high cognitive challenge jobs, and you are the folks who can bring them back into the force. And then I think third, we're going to have to challenge ourselves as institutions. We've operated the way we have because of history, because of precedent, and we're going to have to open ourselves up to making some dramatic changes. In order to serve these students, to bring them through this system, we're going to have to be a lot closer than we've been to this point. We're going to have to change some of the behaviors that we have. I think I would agree with Paul, in order for this to occur, we're going to have to look at the lack of financial support behind the system right now, either through new resources or redeployment of existing resources. We're going to have to begin to challenge our institutional base and open ourselves up to working together, and we're going to have to, in the final analysis, be a lot more responsive to the emerging needs of our students.
Now, Gene, this is an excellent segue to my next question. Can you guys hear me out there, right? Okay, great. So my next question is, from the perspective of the sectors you represent, what specific advice would you give to community college trustees and presidents, and what should their priorities be? Bill, why don't you start?
Well, you know, from my world, the average life expectancy of a CEO of a U.S. company is about 3.6 years. So if you don't deliver the goods, they get somebody who will. And it sort of shapes your thinking. And so I say that, not because of, to be smart about it, but it's true, right? I mean, the demands, we're in a world today that you got to deliver more value for less money. It doesn't matter, it's not about whether you like it, because the other guys are raising their game. Mm-hmm. I just came back from visiting 4 countries, 2 in the Middle East and 2 in Africa. All they're talking about is to be like us in our education system, and we got to be gone when they get there, right? Because they are going to get there. And so in order to do that, much as the point there, we have to think about how we reinvent the delivery systems of education. We have to repurpose some of the money to get the outcomes we want, as opposed to just some of the outcomes that we get today. And I think we've got to be more demanding, right, of ourselves and other components in the ecosystem. And how we move from, what I would call the happy talk, right? We go here, right, you get energized, you get excited, you learn new things, and then you go back home and you go back to the same old thing. How we take one nugget and use it to bring back home and raise the game of our institutions. I think we just have to crack the code on that. And I think we have to start holding ourselves to a higher standard. And it's not us, it's the rest of the world that's raising the bar.
Okay. I'm going to mention 3 things: pipeline, instruction, and policy. And I think the advice I would give to community colleges, and I give to 4-year institutions as well, is pay attention to where your students are coming from. Work with their K-12 teachers. Make sure your faculty know the high school instructors that are training most of your students. That's really possible in community colleges. And get alignment between high school preparation and what it really takes to succeed in college. The Chief State School Officers and National Governors Association did the country a tremendous favor by focusing on the learning objectives and the standards of attainment that it takes to be college and career ready. With more focus on the essentials than we've ever had before. We in higher education need to take that gift and run with it and use it to improve the capacity of the students we get. Second, we've got to work on instruction. Everybody in this room knows that developmental education is one of the least successful programs in higher education. And to educate the next generation of students, the people in this country that need to be prepared to survive in this global economy, we've got to figure out how to do that better. We've actually made a lot of progress in figuring out what it might take. What we need to do is to implement some of those good ideas. Community college trustees and presidents need to know about the state of the art, and they need to be actively implementing it and experimenting with these approaches to realize their potential and make it happen. And the third thing is policy, both national policy and institutional policy. Next month, there's going to be a report released by the National Student Clearinghouse, an organization that I happen to be on the board of, that has the capacity through its data system to track what happens to students no matter whether they transfer or not, whether or not they're full-time or part-time. And I'm not going to divulge all the findings of that report, but there are a couple of them I want to mention. First is that if students start college and go full-time all the time, within 6 years, all of higher education, all sectors, 75% of them have a degree or certificate. If they start part-time and never go full-time, only 20% have succeeded. And if there's a mixture, if there's some full-time or some part-time, that 20% doubles to 40%. And I think the key here is you've got to be engaged in an educational program in order to really be successful at it. And we need institutional policies and incentives and public policies, despite all the legitimate challenges of life, that somehow make it possible for students to focus on an academic program or whatever length it is, whether it's a certificate, a 2-year degree, or a 4-year degree, to focus on it enough so that it becomes central to their life. I think that's really, really critical. And the last thing I'll mention is you'll be pleased to know that this study will show that what happens to community college students that don't complete where they started. Actually, a third of the students who begin in community colleges actually get a degree someplace else. And I think the credit that you deserve for contributing to their education is long overdue, and we need to develop data systems that give that credit where it's due.
I guess my advice to all of you would be, first of all, internalize and understand what's going on in K-12 today. We have made a historic shift in our expectations of the K-12 system over the last few years. What we do day to day with students, the credentials we hold, the classes we offer are all important. But if that combination and other factors don't lead to results, we're going to be judged failures. So we are now into a results-oriented, outcomes-based system in K-12 education. We're going to be measured by whether we reach the goals that we've set. To make that more challenging to the K-12 system right now is that definition of success for students is college and career ready. Not for some students, but all students. So what we've done in this step in the last 4 to 5 years is change the very basic challenge that's in front of K-12 education. You have to understand that and begin to internalize it. If we don't get our students ready for the next step, and we're making the assumption that every child walking across the stage at graduation is going to be prepared for another level of education, not necessarily the traditional 4-year program, and we see community colleges as having to take on this burden of receiving these students and helping us make them successful. We're going to try to do our job, that is getting them prepared so that we can reduce the remediation rates that exist in colleges and universities. But we're going to have to make sure that you're a true partner. So once you understand this shift, you can understand the kind of tension that's going on in the K-12 community today. We know this is going to be hard. And while we're embracing this noble and important goal for our students, we know we're not ready to deliver against it. And so we're going to need your help. You're going to have to help us begin to redefine systems. And there are lots of opportunities. Just looking at your agenda and then walking around this morning and looking at some of the activities that were underway, there are places across this country in this room represented programs that are beginning to merge the K-12 system and with the higher ed system, and you're beginning to redesign these new systems. And I would think there are 2 or 3 opportunities that every one of you ought to be thinking about as you work with the K-12 system. First, you ought to be engaged very directly in a conversation with the K-12 folks about what we mean by college and career ready. Our definition of what our students should know and be able to do ought to align very directly with those expectations you have for entry. Secondly, you ought to be having very serious conversations with K-12 about how our exit criteria align very directly with your entry criteria. If you don't send a strong message to the K-12 students that what we're doing in K-12 is important and the judgments that are being made about success at K-12 don't matter at a higher education level, that's going to send a very negative message to our students. So how do you begin to have conversations with those schools that you work with in your region about what college and career readiness means, how you can begin to send those messages to students, how you can give them opportunities to engage in learning that might make the transition. And then I think the third broad area that I would be engaged in very immediately is how do you begin to reshape the systems that you have so that it's an easier transition from the K-12 system to the higher ed system. And some of you are doing this, but there's no reason, and we're moving toward, if you move toward an outcomes-based system, performance-based system, and if you begin to talk to students about performance being more important than the number of hours you spend in the classroom, then some of them are going to be ready to face you before that 12th grade. Some of them are going to take some time, additional time in school to be ready for you. There's no reason for us to graduate a student and then for them to go into remediation. That ought to be occurring in the K-12 system, but it could not happen, it cannot happen without you helping us design those remediation courses and designing those opportunities for the students. It's better for one of our students to stay with us a bit longer and be ready to enter than it is for them to be put into your system unprepared for the challenges they're going to face. And wouldn't it be nice if the resources that go into this are being absorbed in that K-12 system instead of being absorbed in the higher education system unproductively? Now, we know that students who are on this track are a lot more successful. We know that there are going to be opportunities for each of you to have these dynamic conversations. And it seems to me this could happen at each school level. It seems to me that the community college is the place where this entrepreneurial kind of behavior can occur. I see you, frankly, as a group of individuals who are more open to this conversation than the traditional four-year institutions. I see you more flexible in terms of your ability to move the systems forward, to be more responsive to the system. I see this as the place. I see no better system in this country than one we could engage local school districts in clusters around community colleges engaging in these kind of deep conversations.
Bill, did you want to make a follow-up on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, what I said before about being more demanding, business gives $3.7 billion philanthropically to education. None of it evidence-based. You know, your garden variety chief executive officer of even small companies, their one thing they care about is talent. And the one thing they understand is ordinary people being able to do extraordinary things on behalf of themselves and their companies. They just don't know how to help. And so one of the things in this whole notion of collaboration is we in business can't be sitting there saying we know what we like when we see it. Right? We have to go back down the pipe, right? And you have to engage us. You have to have incredible pride. You have to have propositions that say, I can create for you this kind of talent. I can be a source of this kind of workforce. And there's great examples all over the country of schools aligned with businesses to do that. But we suffer from the ability to scale it. And we suffer a little from the ability to, we're very siloed. But the thing, we have 3.5 million jobs open in the United States right now, right? That gap doesn't seem to close. And we need to connect the dots, and I think business has a huge obligation, but you have to help us. You have to put your proposition on the table. You have to put your students out there in traffic and say these people can make a difference. And you have to do what you can to help shape our thinking about what we can do to make sure that your product, right, is what we need. They're job ready, and we have the jobs for them. And so I would challenge business and industry to raise our game as we sit there and ask you to raise yours. I don't know.
We've all mentioned connecting the dots, student outcomes, student success. And from a philanthropic standpoint, we've really tried hard at the Ford Foundation to do cross-unit collaboration, so it's not just education, but also with our Metropolitan Opportunity and Assets Unit, with our Economic Opportunity and Assets Unit, with our Financial Assets Unit, with our Quality Employment Unit. And so this idea of partnering, not just inside, but also outside. You know, if we're thinking about pathways, creating entrepreneurial career pathways with regional labor market value, connecting the dots across K-12, higher ed, workforce. Can you give us some specific examples in your organizations where you're doing that kind of partnering?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. We, you know, as a company, we have 260,000 employees around the world. We hired 60,000 employees last year. We are a human capital company. This is our, and then we looked at what we were doing, you know, to help in the communities and we work and live in. There's a lot of things that need help. There's a lot of requests businesses get. But what we decided is we need to take our own competence and turn it towards the communities we work and live in. We created this program. So our corporate citizenship agenda across 120 countries is called Skills to Succeed. And what it's about is getting 250,000 people, you know, job ready or ready to start a small by 2015. As of right now, we have 168,000 people we've done that to. We're ahead of schedule. By the end of 2013, we will have accomplished that. We're looking at how to raise the bar. And how you operationalize that for us in the United States is very much around the community college system, because it's the shortest time to get talent to job ready of anything in the ecosystem. And so it's engaging. And one of the things I mentioned before is inspiration. You know, inspiration, like 80% of people, I think a statistic is 87% people will invest their money and their time in furthering their education if they know what outcome they're going to get. And they know what to study to get that outcome. And so we've just tried to take our people and infuse them in to help people understand that behind the cell phone is a career in telecommunications and customer service that is profound and incredibly interesting. And I think that's where you get, where the inspiration unleashes the talent that's trapped.
Paul?
I'm going to look at my notes because I want to get one thing right, and I need to get the words because I think it gets to the essence of what community colleges are all about and what the national challenge is. The Truman Commission, about 1946, which conceived the idea of community colleges, had this quote: "American colleges and universities can no longer consider themselves merely the instrument for producing an intellectual elite. They must become the means by which every citizen, youth, and adult is enabled and encouraged to carry his education, formal and informal, as far as his native capacities permit." That was a huge aspiration that I think at that time, and frankly for most of the past century, half the country didn't believe. That we really needed to have massive, widespread education at scale for everybody in our country. The global economy now requires that, and it requires a greater sense of collaboration and single-minded commitment to the development of human potential in an equitable and comprehensive way than we've ever had. And the good news, I think, is that we're beginning to get it as a country. The level of collaboration between K-12 and higher education is higher now than it's ever been. You frankly would not have seen Gene Wilhoit and me on a platform at the Community College Trustees Association 5 or 6 years ago, or our predecessors. We're working together to reform teacher education, to develop the capabilities of teachers to meet this international objective. And I think we're beginning as a country to coalesce around the essence of what it's going to take to have the instruction and the focus on individual student success. We wrote a letter to the presidential candidates, and I'm going to talk about the glass half full now, Gene. You've talked a little bit about how it's still half empty. Entitled A Breakthrough Opportunity. You can see this letter on our website, and it essentially says it's time for us to come together as a nation, and we're beginning to come together as a nation around a coherent strategy for increasing educational attainment. And we're beginning, I hope, to stop pointing fingers, trying to find a silver bullet that'll make it happen, but really come together, business, industry, all sectors of education, both political parties around this agenda, and really working to achieve the kind of educational success that we achieved 50 years ago when Sputnik frightened us. And almost on a dime, we changed the way we funded and set aspirations for education in this country. We need to do that again, and I think now we might actually be on the point of doing it.
Great. And Gene, can you talk about the partnerships you
Sure. And I'm going to go back to this major initiative that we've just launched among 46 of the states called the Common Core State Standards. First of all, in the development of those standards, for the first time in our country, we're going to have some common expectations about the knowledge and skills students should possess. But we didn't come up with those definitions in the K-12 community. We literally did something very different. We went to the business community and we went to colleges and universities and asked you that question about what would it take to be successful, and that became the definition of college and career readiness standards. So in every one of your states right now, there's a commissioner who's very concerned about how they're going to implement the Common Core standards. They're going to be calling on you, and I hope somebody has already approached you about getting engaged in how we implement the Common Core standards. And though, if not, I hope you would reach out to our commissioners and begin that conversation with them. Because without you, we're not going to be able to be successful in this. Those conversations ought to revolve around how the two systems come together in terms of our exit criteria and your entry criteria. Those conversations ought to be about what we're teaching those students and frankly what you're going to guarantee K-12 in terms of the experiences students have when they get to college. One of the things we're very concerned about is, quote, academic freedom being so broadly defined that we don't know what to expect when our kids get to college and there's no common expectation about those entry-level courses. We're going to expand those definitions beyond English language, arts, and mathematics into science. There is on the street right now a document that every one of you ought to be reviewing and giving input to K-12 about what is a good science curriculum at K-12 that prepares them for college. The social science folks and the arts folks are all engaged in those conversations. We need your direct involvement in those. Beyond that, there are some really serious conversations that will emerge in the next few years. And Paul referenced this earlier. How do we get the human resource, human capital in place to deliver against this curriculum? How do we find those teachers who can enter the K-12 system and be successful? And many times, community colleges have not been the integral part or as important a part in that preparation of human capital as should be in the future. I see you as a critical partner with K-12 in terms of the identification, early experience, and actually I think we ought to begin to think about flipping the community college responsibility for staying with us once those students are in school. You have a much better ability to do that than many of the four-year institutions who are graduating those students.
Great. Well, on that note, let me say, first of all, I think it's important to really emphasize the notion that we all should be working collaboratively, and that I emphasize this because I think it's important that we build these partnerships, and you as community college trustees and you as community college presidents should be on the forefront of ensuring that these partnerships happen across sectors. So thank the panel for me, please. They've been terrific. And it's great to have been here, so thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wood, and we appreciate all the comments, your insight and thoughts, and sharing with us today. And once again, thank you for coming here. I encourage you to bring the policy action agenda back to your campuses, encourage your boards, college presidents to continue this discussion. Paul and Jean will join others to continue the dialogue at this evening's town hall meeting at 4:30 in the Sheraton's Hotel Constitution Ballroom. I encourage you to join them in the town hall and engage in this important conversation. Also, please remember to fill out your evaluation form and so we can continue to serve you better. Hope you enjoy the Congress. Thank you, and this session is over. Enjoy your day.